Hi friends, the person we were being searching since such a long time, the man himself behind the great mammoth education system, Mr. Manan Choksi. Let's meet and understand what pain does he take or what fun does it make to his life to run such a mammoth-sized organization, Udgam Consultancy and chain of schools. Sir, welcome to the show. We would love to understand and know, and even your followers would like to know and understand, from one school to 9 school, from 1100 kids at Udgam school to more than 10,000 kids across the state. What are your plans in running this marathon and what is your vision ahead?
Now, about 30 years ago, the school was taken over by my father's trust, and since then we have only one mission, which is providing quality education. We have been sought after by people from length and breadth of the state, and eventually people are inviting us to manage the schools which are there, and they are unable to provide education demanded by the parents these days. So we started with a very humble beginning, and we are still very down to earth, as in unless and until our children perform well in exams, unless and until there are learning outcomes, there is no good school, there is no meaning of all this glorious history that we have. Unless we are able to teach, we have no purpose, we have no meaning to survive. So that is our goal, that is our plan, to keep on teaching good, keep on getting the best potential out of each student, and make an organization built on sound management principles. These sound management principles which are replicable to other schools. So it is more of a science than an art. While we see most schools are run out of emotions, they are wonderful schools,
yes,
but they do not have much replicable systems and processes. So unless and until that is there, we cannot sustain for long. Even in every year, our school is a new school. We have new staff, we have new students, we have new challenges, we have new regulations these days. So that's what we are planning to have: rock solid system processes, modern management techniques, and core objective of providing best learning outcomes.
What makes a good, successful and a school at first choice? Infrastructure, its education, or the vision of the management?
Yes, so that's interesting question to me, that you are successful because of the location, you're successful because of the big building that you have, you are successful for you have pumped in a lot of money. So let me clarify. First of all, we didn't have money when we had started the school. Location was out of Ahmedabad. We were out of the octroi limit when we shifted here. And if you ask me, that this building was not as big as it just looks right now, because we built it. So I would say that the whole purpose of the school differentiates the future of the school. So when you take an admission in, say, maybe first standard or nursery, you do not know how the school is going to evolve or how your child is going to evolve. So what I would suggest to parents is to match their priorities with the purpose of the organization. So as far as Udgam is concerned, we are hardcore educationists. We believe in completing the syllabus on time and having all children get great marks. Even those children who are unable to perform in exams, we try to give them remedial education and ensure that they have certain bare minimum performance level. The time of children are limited in the school to 6 hours.
Yes.
And there is 200 working days. So the time is limited. Now you spend teaching horse riding or you spend teaching algebra will define 15 years later what the child is going to be. So having said that, I would say that it is not a good school or a bad school. Whether it matches the priorities of parents, that is a good school. So there are good schools which only teach, there are good schools which do everything except teaching, and both have satisfied parents. So if a parents want their child to be excellent in extracurricular activities, they should accordingly choose those schools. My father came with a very middle class, low, poor background. We were basically poor. Right now, wearing all these good clothes, sitting in a fancy building and talking about poverty is not appropriate. India has also evolved, but about 50 years ago, when my father came to Ahmedabad, he had only CA degree. And today we can afford all this luxury because he was educated. And so my father decided that we should have a school which would educate such professionals who are unable to afford the costly fees of international schools, and they value education. So and on the same time, there are so many people like me, where I'm the privileged upper class person, who I did not have to worry about job, or I did not have to worry about how will I run my household if I do not earn. So for my child, focusing on education qualification, or I would say focusing on getting admission into a big college, is not as much priority as all-round personality is there. So I would be an ideal candidate for an international school as a parent, but my child still studies in Udgam, because we are still want to be as down to earth, and we all know, no matter how much money you have, unless you have education, unless you do hard work, future is not going to be as comfortable as the present.
You are the second generation to run this mammoth organization. The world sees you going on the way towards what the Lucknow school did. Is it what you believe into? Is it what you are wanting to run the show on?
So that's interesting. Well, the Lucknow school is City Montessori school, which I have been and seen their mode of functioning and understood their management concepts. I believe if a school is successful, it should not have a lot of money. If there is a lot of profit, it means that school is profiteering. So if it is a lot of loss, then the school has sustainability issues.
Yes.
So what defines a successful school is a school which has a lot of numbers. The reason I'm telling that, out of a lot of parameters that we can have board results, we can have children accomplishing in extracurricular activities, we can have measurement as to the retention of students, retention of staff. We can have a lot of measurements, but what I have understood in this education world, which is a very qualitative industry, the real litmus test whether a school is good is the sustainable growth. If they are able to grow slow and steady and keep on adding numbers, which irrefutable evidence it gives, because that why would a person choose a school and why would more and more people choose a school unless it is providing the facilities or the services which people want. One day we had a big discussion with our trustees, where they said that Udgam school is not a good school. You are taking the top students from the society, and then even without Udgam school they would be performing good. It was like what you call as an IIT theory, or IIT IIM. They take top 1% and then they say we have the best placement salaries. So this was the allegation. Another allegation our trustees put, this is internal brainstorming. We have a very free environment. Trustees criticize their own decisions openly, and we are open to feedback. So parents are also they're very generous with finding mistakes. So that's okay. But we welcome criticism, because it is better that our parents tell complaints to us rather than our competitors. Because if we don't listen, they will find
switch
people who are ready to listen next door in the school. Okay, so what we found out is that yes, we had this challenge of having a kind of parent class who were so much particular about their child's education, that if a child would not perform average or above average in their class, they would immediately do tuitions. They would personally, I have seen mothers leave their jobs because their child was not performing at school. This is the level of commitment parents have, and with those set of parents, if you put in any school, I'm sure the results would be fantabulous. So we had this question that how do we measure ourselves to be successful? And then we eventually concluded that if we keep on able to grow slowly and steadily, and if parents are retained parents and keep them satisfied, that would be the litmus test. So that's the whole vision, I would say, the background, how our management thought process is. And eventually what I have figured out is that why Lucknow school is successful. So there can be a competitor opening up a school next door with better facilities, better staff, better, I would say, student class. So, the classroom heterogeneity is a big requirement these days, because if you have same class of people, like if all doctors' children study in Udgam and they are all classmates are children of doctors, they would have very little exposure.
Yes.
So if a competitor opens a school next door and gives everything what they need, but still if we are able to retain children, I would suggest that that school has stood the test of time, and that is giving a fantastic education. So that is our reason of following City Montessori school. Remaining, there are so many schools in India which gives amazing facilities, which gives a lot of numbers also. If you see, Kendra Vidyalaya is a great example where government run education giving across the country standard learning outcome. The only problem is that it is government funded, and we are private funded. We have limited funds. So still, if we are able to grow, then I would say that it's a best school.
Sir, this season we saw a lot of hoardings across the town where it seemed like you have been persuading the students to move towards CBSE as a board. You yourself coming from a state board education as a student, do you really feel board matters? And if yes, why?
So the story goes back to our purpose, as of getting a child educated to get good admission into a college. So if you have that purpose, you need to have CBSE board. So India is changing, and one of the first book I gave to my heads when I joined the school is Who Moved My Cheese? That what is the requirement for a mobile phone, and today mobile phones are marketed as digital cameras more and less as a communication device. So in an organization like a service organization like school, what would be the demand which is untapped, or what would they want? So what we did figure out was in 2009, in 2007 I had done this survey of how are the college admissions going on. So the funny part is, in India we have 30 boards. India is a diverse country.
Yeah.
Even in board we have 30 boards. And then a person in LD engineering sitting wants to admit a person. He would get person from Rajasthan board, Madhya Pradesh board, Maharashtra board, yes, and CBSE, ICSE, and they have to compare mark sheets. Unfortunately, those mark sheets do not come on the same day. They would come at different timings.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if they have admissions open before Rajasthan board has declared result, they would not be able to admit brilliant students from Rajasthan. Okay,
yes.
So this was the scenario, and I figured out very quickly. It didn't take me more than 2 days to realize that one day these 30 boards will go away.
Vanish.
One day there will be common entrance tests. One day there will be one India, one board. That was 2007. Then we applied to CBSE. In 2000 we got CBSE affiliation, and though I was a student of this school, though it was a Gujarat board school, but we knew that unless and until we keep changing with the times, we would be no different than the Gujarati medium schools closed down in Ahmedabad, which were more than 100 years ago. So the cheese has moved from Gujarati medium school to Gujarat board English medium school, and we were on that wave, so we became a very good school. Now the cheese has moved from Gujarat board English medium school to CBSE. Now the story ends here, because the problem is that JEE, NEET, CUET, everything is designed for CBSE students.
Yeah.
This is the whole concept. Now you would ask me, one fine day, a lot of parents ask me that I do not want my child to be a doctor or an engineer or even go to central universities for CUET. Why should I put in CBSE? So my question to them is that when JEE was introduced 15 years ago, parents were not notified that CBSE is going to get a preference. Yesterday or day before yesterday, the NEET results were announced. 55% of the children who got admitted were CBSE students across India. So there are 30 boards. 30 boards, but 55% is only one board. That speaks for itself. Now, I'm not saying that if you do not want doctor, engineer or central university admission, will you take CBSE? But you do not know. One day, government will come up with a brilliant idea of putting entrance test even for a BCom or a BA course. One day, government may change the thing. And in India, the funny part is it takes years to change anything, but that change comes overnight.
Yes.
When it comes overnight. Okay, another point is, so when all this is going on, from an organization perspective, we feel that even though there are not many lawyers, there are not many lawyers who make money, but there are many lawyers who dream that they will make money.
Yeah.
So there are not many people who are actually becoming engineers, but when they take admission in nursery, they dream their child will be an engineer one day, and they will be Sundar Pichai.
Yes.
Nothing less. We never dream less. It is what is taught to us.
Yeah, what's wrong in dreaming?
The child picks up Legos and put 2 blocks. Mera bachcha civil engineer banega. And they have this dream, and then they look into the fact that how do we get engineering admission? They look at JEE. Okay, I'll go to CBSE. So that makes an organization stronger, better. Even though your child may be wanting to pursue arts, but it is advisable to put in CBSE because they will have the resources of giving you the best education in the long run. So that's the whole story.
So sir, yes, of course, CBSE as a board, as you rightly said, does not go as the only choice in the country, but right now it is the best choice what a school can opt for. You have always been a tech savvy guy as an individual, what we know. You use technology, you promote technology a lot, even in the education, what I have seen since years now. But 80% of your teachers, I am sure you would also be facing the same challenge. 80% of your teachers are not tech savvy. How do you blend both the talent together? That is, one is technology and another is a regular chalk and talk method teacher. So how do you manage this challenge as a school?
So technology in education has been what we call is a controversial subject till COVID. After COVID, technology has been daily affair. Everybody, it's like a routine thing now. However, still we find that teachers not adapting technology as well as they should or they could. That's a challenge. So there is in a qualitative industry where work is of quality, not of quantity. So we measure education by learning outcomes, how they are able to control the classroom, how they are able to complete the topic, how they are able to ensure that children learn from it, and there's a positivity towards the subject. They don't hate. Eventually, I have seen a lot of maths hater. Maths, the worst subject is maths, and second most hated subject is social studies. And we don't want to do that. So doing that, if a teacher is able to do all this without using technology, I would not force upon my teacher to use technology. But yes, I would advise them, I would train them, I would give the adequate resources. In each class, we have a smart board and software of extra marks. We believe that giving the best to the teacher, it is up to her to give the best of herself to the class.
To begin with, change is the only constant. I have been working here since long, say 20 years. I would like to conclude here saying that I feel proud that I am working with Udgam School for Children. There are many reasons. The point that I would like to highlight is the resources and the amount of exposure given to the teachers as well as to the students make a lot of difference. I would like to say that we are ahead of times and not with the times.
During COVID, Udgam has tied up with Microsoft, and we all teachers were trained to use MS Teams to conduct online classes. And I can proudly say that we were the first schools among the schools of Gujarat to conduct online classes smoothly. Further, smart TVs have been installed in all the classes. Apart from classroom education, students were given an access to extra marks, MS Office, licensed software and other smart learning tools.
Now, as a technology freak, as they call me, along with being a technology freak, I am also a big believer in giving freedom to teachers on how to teach. So it does make sense that focus on what it matters rather than focusing on something which is important to you. So I think parents' priority is education outcomes. I think parents' priority is that eventually the child happily goes to school, and parents' priority is that result अच्छा आना चाहिए.
Right.
Now if it comes with technology, I am happy. If it doesn't come with technology, as a school administrator, I would care less. But yes, if you ask me in person, I would love that people be more productive, use less time, they employ more senses of students by giving multimedia things and giving, all which engage the child, we keep the attention is very important. As a school administrator, we have to have a baseline of what it matters, and I am very clear that using technology should not be the main aim of the school. Getting best learning outcome is our main aim.
So how do you overcome the conservative thoughts like of the parents and the teachers also? Chashme aa jayenge, number one. Number two, giving technology, the child might get diverted to some other websites which are unwanted ones. So how, as an educator, how do you manage these challenges?
So
what do you suggest rather?
Yes, so that's a big challenge. So everything in this world has its advantages, disadvantages, and as technology is a very powerful tool, it can be counterproductive. So there are 2-3 things. First of all is parent education, where we educate parents that certain things are myths and certain things are facts, and how do we overcome that. So there are simple things which we have been telling to parents who complain that there are certain more software which they can download and they can monitor child's activities on the device, be it a mobile, be it a tablet, or be it a computer. Also, what we do is we educate parents, because students are way smart.
Yes.
Then parents, unfortunately, no matter how good a parent is, a child will find a way to do what he wants. Another important point is psychological counseling to children. So apart from all the technical aspects of having a software, depriving a child of access to technology, हमने ले लिया उसका mobile. That doesn't solve a problem, because eventually you will have to give, and the child will become an adult one day and will have access to mobile. So that's where what we focus on is the psychological. However, today a world has come to a juncture where everybody is taking risks, and every parent, what I see, is looking at their convenience versus the threat perception.
Absolutely.
So if one child gets kidnapped, tomorrow everybody's mobile phone will get shut for 5 days.
Seatbelt on the backside.
Yeah, exactly. And then things will go back to normal, they will forget. And so we have to see parents' convenience has to be, but it has to be done with educating the parent and counseling the child. That are, I think, 2 ways we can handle.
Okay. From being policymaker and changing so many things across, that you've rightly said, having a policy, a stagnant policy would make a lot of difference in quality controls. But sir, you do not venture out into branches. You rather believe a lot in consulting the schools. So what is the logic and a formula behind it? You don't open branches, but you consult schools and bring them to a better shape. What's the formula?
So when I am talking about a CBSE school is the future, when I am talking about that better quality services would satisfy parents, what it means is it gives a higher capital requirement to build a school. So if you're talking about technology, if you're talking about fancy facilities, what it requires you a lot of money. Now, as an individual or as a group of trustees that I have represent, we do not have so much money that we can give A-class schools in Ahmedabad city. So we don't have that much access to capital. And another problem is that on the other hand, there are so many buildings lying vacant. So we thought of merging the two requirements. On one hand, we have so many people who want admission. On another hand, there are so many schools who have land and building and everything. So we connect. So it's not only faster, it reduces the gestation period to start a greenfield project. Another most important aspect we have to understand is that where there are people who are wanting schools, there is a lot of differentiation. Each school is different. Each school has its own different parent segment and its teachers and everything is different. So while we create branches, we try to make it a mechanical replication. But when we are trying to make individual brands, which is own set of challenges, own set of problems, own set of policies, we give a lot of uniqueness to the child, to each child. They will be proud. I have never heard a child saying, my school is campus 2, you know. I've always seen this, I am of Udgam school, I am of Saber school. That gives them a name that they can be proud rest of their life. Right. So this is whole concept of, it may be wrong, I don't know, it may be, but it gives the trustees, you know, the trustees who own the land and building, it gives them emotional connect. So it is their own baby, it is their own school. I am just a professional management personnel, and I would do whatever duties I require to do. So that's the whole concept.
So by consulting, you've started consulting from one school to now 9 schools. Slowly, gradually, I foresee in a very short period of time where you would be consulting half of Ahmedabad. So would we be someday asked to vote for Manan Choksi and he's on the ballot sheet?
So that's what you have merged 2 questions. First of all is, no, my aim is not to manage half of Ahmedabad. My aim is to give good quality education. We will be taking up schools only which we can manage. So yeah, I don't know my management capacities to manage. Ahmedabad is a big city, so that's different. That's not my aim to manage all the schools. My aim is to give good quality education. If I am able to give, as far as the second part of the question, which is about entry into politics, so that is not again our purpose, and I know politics is a very difficult business, or I would say it's a different lifestyle that you have to embrace, like wearing khadi clothes, doing what people want, agreeing to the masses, you know, even though if you are not, masses are not right, you have to agree what they say. So I'm not that kind of person. I'm more of a person who would stand up against the masses if I think what is right. So when we did a lot of changes in the school, Udgam school is like 57-year-old school. We do not have any top 10 school in Ahmedabad which is even close to our age. The reason why we are so old and yet in top 10 is that we have kept changing, and change was not easy. It was standing against opposition.
Right.
People opposed when we shifted from CG Road to Thaltej. People opposed when we shifted from Gujarat Board to CBSE. People opposed when we did 2 shift. People opposed when we, did any small change in the school. So this is not a sign of a politician where they go against the public wishes to knowing that what is right. So that's in a nutshell your answer, that I'm not built to be a politician. I'm more of a, what we call is a technocrat or expert person. They're not popular people. They are right people. They think they're right.
The conversation with the man who goes against the odds and makes sure the progress to the bottom of the level he touches happens is something what we discussed with Mr. Manan Choksi. Let's have a small rapid fire to understand what he quick thinks about certain projects, plans and things around him. Sir, a small rapid fire with you. Let's start with the school. PTM, needed or is it a waste of time?
PTM in current form is a waste of time. It should be improved.
Manan as a human, if not a CA or an educator?
Would be a very boring person.
Superman or Batman?
Obviously Superman.
People who do not know, he's a big follower of Superman. Managing females at home or 300 female teachers in the school, which is more challenging?
Yeah, so challenging, both are equally challenging, and I would not do gender discrimination. So managing people is a challenge, but I would not say it is, the objectives are different. So here we want learning outcomes, at there we want social, or I would say personal life outcomes. So
see, he said he would not go to politics, but diplomacy is in, aa jata hai. So being on social media or traveling, what would you love the most?
I would balance both, because one without the other, without putting photos where you travel, I think social media will be boring, and just traveling and not putting social media would, pata kaise chalega sabko.
Believe me guys, he's an aggressive traveler and also a social media freak. So you can catch him, follow him and go ahead with him. ये था व्यू एंड विजन उद्गम ग्रुप ऑफ स्कूल का, जाना हमने मनन चौकसी के थ्रू. This is something really very important for students, parents, management and new school entrepreneurs. As a mantra, how to make the school successful and the best in the town, in the state and in the country. जुड़े रहिए हमसे, लाइक कीजिए, शेयर कीजिए, इस मैसेज को स्प्रेड कीजिए. Thank you so much. Keep watching till we reach to the new destination, to the new school, and keep commenting. What do you wish more from us? Thanks.